So are you facing any issue? You want to send the mail?
No, sir. I'm just turning on my system. That 17 videos was not downloading. No, sir.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I hope the video has been downloaded to everyone. है कोई? No ही बंदे. Some people are waiting in the lobby. Let me check. Okay. So let me log in into the portal. Say there is one conference that is about to happen from the AWS end. It's AWS Summit and it will be on 8th of June. So in case you want, you can register. It's free of cost. You can go to this link and you can register. Here they are going to talk about the services, the new services that is going to introduce. And they will also talk about the career opportunities in the AWS, like what opportunities you will have in the future. So it is going to be free of cost from the Amazon end. And they do it like in every quarter, they do some kind of seminars. Just give me 1 minute what he is saying. Okay. So you can register in case you want. And time to time, you can check the websites. AWS does some kind of summit, some kind of seminars. So you would be able to grab a lot of knowledge related to the AWS cloud. So I am going to sign in into my portal. So far we had discussed about EC2 instance. We had discussed that in AWS, we can create the EC2 instances and we can launch the server. So we discussed that we have EC2 instance in the AWS, that stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. And we also discussed that it is a kind of virtual server that will give you the facility to host your servers on the AWS infrastructure. And it is one of the infrastructure as a service. Then we discuss the series of 8 EC2. What kind of series we have, like we have compute optimize, storage optimize, high performance computing, memory optimize. So these kind of series we discussed. Inside this, there are a lot of further subcategories that we had discussed yesterday, like T2 micro, T12, M7, M7 extra large, G1, G2. So these kind of series are there and they have different comparisons. So you can go through with the link that I have shared yesterday and you can refer that one. Now, yesterday itself, we have launched one of the EC2 instance. We have created one of the machine over there and we had seen some of the options. So let's proceed further and let's see some more options there. So I'm going to the portal. I'm with my AWS portal account. Let me mute someone. Yeah. Now, so I am creating one of the EC2 instance right now. So I will further go to EC2. Here you can see there are 0 instances. No instance is currently running. So I will go to instance and I will launch one of the instance. Suppose I want to create 2 servers right now. So I will create 2 copies. Here I will mention 2. Then the name, suppose the name will be prod01. And the image, I will take Windows image. So I am taking this one, Windows Server 2022 base edition. Select. Now the AMI. This is my machine image. I am selecting Windows Server 2022. It is of 64-bit, and this is the publishing date and all. If I will scroll it down, I can select my instance type. So I am selecting T2 micro because it's free tier eligible. According to the requirement, we can select our instance type, our instance series. So I will get one CPU, 1 GB of RAM along with this instance. Key pair I need to create in order to log in into this server. So create new key pair. I'm giving one of the name to it. Suppose H1. As I told you, PPK will be used if you have the below operating system. Suppose you have the downgraded operating system rather than Windows 10. If you are using Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP, or below the below range of operating system of Windows 10, like starting from the low capacity, the starting capacity to Windows 10 up to Windows 10. If you are using the operating system on your base and you want to access this server on those machines, then you will select the PPK. Just like I am using Windows 11 on my laptop, this is my Windows 11. So it is the upgraded version of your Windows 10. So the capacity is more beyond than your Windows 10. So in this condition, I can use PEM. But if I am using the below ranges of operating system, just like Windows 10, Windows 8, 7, XP, then I will have to use the PPK extension. So PPK is for lower operating systems and it will support up to Windows 10. PEM is starting from Windows 10 to the higher version of Windows. Plus, it will also support the Linux. It is also going to support the Mac operating system. Now, I will select this one because on the base I am using Windows 11. So I want to access this server through remote on the Windows 11 interface. So I will select PEM. Now create key pair. So one file has been downloaded here. This is one of the encryption file that we discussed yesterday. In the network setting, there is VPC, there is subnet. I will discuss about this in some time. Auto assign public IP, enable. This one I will also discuss. See, auto assign public IP means when you will create the instance, when you will create the EC2. So you will need two kind of IP addresses. The first one will be your private IP. You would need the private IP and you would also need the public IP as well. Now, what is public IP? Why the public IP will be required? So public IP is required in case you want to access this server from any part of the world. If you have the internet connection and you want to access this server from any remote location, then you will have to connect this server, this EC2, to the internet. And for that, you would be requiring the public IP. So if you have the public IP, it means your server is exposed to the internet. It will be connected to the internet. Private IP will be used for internal communication. Like suppose you have 10 servers and you want that 10 servers should be communicated to each other. So in that condition, you will be requiring the private IP. Internal communication in the sense LAN communication. For the communication, for the connectivity inside the company premises only, you can use the private IP. So private IP will be for internal communication. Public IP means in case you want to access this EC2 from any part of the world, from any location, then you will need the public IP. So there are two types of IP, the private IP and the public IP. For private IP, AWS is not going to charge you anything. It will be free of cost. It will come along with the EC2. It will be provided along with the EC2. But for public IP, AWS is going to charge you because you are adding additional IP and public IP is costly. It is not free. Even in our homes as well, if we are using the broadband connection, if we are using any router for the internet, so we have the public IP there and we are paying to the service provider per month for that public IP, including the charges, including the carrier charges that we are using. So public IP is not free of cost. Private IP is free of cost always. Even in on-premises also, private IP ranges are free. Just like in A class, it's 10.0.0.0 someone. In B, it's 172.16.0.0. In C, it's 192.168.1.0. So that's the free range of IP. But the public IP range is not free. You will have to purchase this from the service provider. So there will be two kind of IP in the EC2, the public and the private. So it is saying that it is automatically going to assign the public IP to your EC2 instance. So do you want it? So by default, it will be enabled. In case you want to disable it, you can also disable this one. I will tell you the option. Now there are options in case you don't need public IP. Suppose you don't want public IP to be there on the server. Then how will you access it? Without public IP, you cannot access your EC2. But there are options. You can enable Bastion. There is a practical of Bastion. I will discuss about this during this practical. So through Bastion, you can access the server without having any public IP. Another option is VPN. You can create the VPN of the servers. In the VPN, you can create point-to-site connectivity. You can create site-to-site connectivity, and you can access the servers without having any public IP address. The third option is you can create the rules in the firewall. You can use the firewall of the AWS. You can create the rules over there and you can access the server through public IP. That is also available. Then the next option is load balancer. You can use the AWS load balancer. Here you can create the rules and you can access the server without having any public IP address. So in the real production scenario, in most of the server, public IP will not be there just because of the security. Just like suppose you are using one of the database server, there is a database, all the important data is residing in that particular server. So company will never connect the public IP on these kind of servers because of the security reason. If you will connect the public IP on the EC2 instances, then it will be exposed to the public network. Public IP means you are connected to the public network. You are connected to the internet. And if that is the situation, there is no security because in internet, we can have a lot of hackers and they can hack our server. So as per the compliance requirement, you cannot assign the public IP on the database server in the real scenario. Even on some of the servers, which is very critical, suppose there is a Active Directory server. Active Directory server will have the complete database of the users. So in such condition, you cannot assign any public IP to the Active Directory server. So I will discuss this practical. These practicals are the part of our syllabus. We will do that. So we will see how we can access the EC2 instance without having any public IP. Because in the real production, there will be a lot of servers that will be without public IPs. That will only be accessed through the private IPs. But for now, we will see the server access through the public IP only. So it is not for all the servers, but there are some critical servers where public IP will not be there. But there are some servers where public IP will be required. Just like web server. I will discuss the practical of this web server in depth in later classes. But for now, web server is a server which is responsible for hosting our websites. Suppose there is a web server in company which is hosting the website of Flipkart. So this server needs to be connected to the internet. This server needs to be connected to the public IP. Otherwise, the users who are trying to access the Flipkart website, they will not be able to access that. So that's the reason it should always be connected to the public network. So there are some exceptions where we will be requiring the public IPs, but in most of the cases, in the real production, public IP will not be there on the EC2 instances. It will be accessed through these methods. How to use these methods? We will see in the later classes. So for now, by default, it will take the public IP from AWS. Now, there is a firewall option. which is also known as security groups. So what is this? There is an option of security group, which is also called firewall of EC2. So what is this security group option? Suppose, just give me 1 second. Yes. Suppose I have a server in company. I have one of the EC2 instance. This is my EC2 instance. This is my server. And what I want, the IP of this server is suppose 1.1.1.1. There is a server administrator who works on this server. If I am working on any server, then sometimes I will send some traffic out of this server, which is called outbound traffic. If I am sending something outside of this server, if I am sending any data to someone, if I am sharing something, if I am trying to access any website, so that is my request. So if I am sending out someone, that is called outbound request. Suppose I need www.google.com. I want to access the Google website. So I am sending my request outside of this server. So that's called outbound request, the request which is going to outside. And on the another end, there is another person who is sending something to me. Suppose someone has sent some important data to me and I want to access that in my server. So if I am accessing something from outside, that is called my inbound request. If on my server, on my EC2 instance, I am accessing something from the outside, that is called inbound request. And if I am sending something outside of my server, that is called outbound request. Just like I am trying to access the Google. So I have sent my outbound request to the Google server. Then Google will respond back with the Google page and I will get the Google page here. So I am getting the Google page from outside. So that is inbound traffic. Now we want to control the inbound and outbound traffic. I want to control that what kind of data can go out, what kind of traffic can go out, and what kind of traffic can go in. Means I want to control my inbound and outbound traffic. Suppose I want, just for an example, what I want that I have one of the EC2 instance. I want that if someone is trying to take the RDP, if someone is trying to take the remote of this server of this EC2, here there is a person, and this person is trying to take the RDP, the remote of this EC2 instance. So what this person is doing, this person is doing one of the inbound request. This is called one of the inbound request. Like from here, he will send one of the requests to access the server. So from here, it will be known as outbound traffic. Now, this server will get the inbound request from this server that this person wants to access you remotely. So for this server, it will be inbound request, but for this person, it will be outbound request to the server. So what I want that if someone is trying to do the RDP, if someone is sending any inbound request to my server for the RDP, then it should be blocked. This should be denied. Then I can set up this rule through the security group. And if I want that I am working on this EC2 instance and I want that I cannot access any website which is hosted on the internet. I want to restrict my outbound flow. I want to restrict my outbound traffic. Then I can also do it. How I can achieve this? I can do this from the security group. So there is a security group option that is called firewall of EC2. Just like in your Windows, there is a Windows firewall that protects your window, that protects your system for the inbound and outbound traffic. Similar to that, in order to protect the inbound and outbound traffic of your EC2, there is an option of security groups. Through security group, you can apply the restriction. What kind of traffic should go out and what kind of traffic should come inside. Even you can block the complete internet as well through these rules. If you want to allow the security on the EC2 level, on a particular EC2 level, then you can use the security group. If you have more than, suppose you have multiple servers, you have multiple EC2, you have 10 EC2 servers on the AWS portal, and you want to restrict the inbound traffic or outbound traffic on all of the servers, then you can use the AWS firewall. There is a separate firewall available in the AWS that you can use. So we will see this practical as well, how to use the firewall in AWS. If you want to protect only a single server, then security group option is there. So you can apply the security group in order to protect your server. If you want to control the inbound and outbound flow, inbound and outbound traffic of your EC2 instance, then you can use the security group feature. Through security group, you can allow or you can deny something. Even you can deny the RDP as well. So this is the security group option. In case you want to create it, you can. I will show you this practical. This is important for the company perspective. It is saying that if you will not create a security group, then we will create a new security group, because it is required, it is mandatory. Along with the EC2 creation, security group has to be created by default. Just like you have seen that in your window, along with the window installation, the default firewall gets installed automatically. Just like here, you can see my firewall is installed automatically. So similar to that, if you will install the EC2 instance on the AWS, then it is mandatory to configure the security group. So if you will not create new security group, it is going to create one of the security group and the name will be Launch Wizard 2. This will be the by default name that it will take. So far, let's keep it by default. We will see in the networking class, in the next class, we will see how to create the security group manually and how to apply the security on the EC2 level. So let's keep it by default. Now, these are the option of security groups. See, allow RDP traffic from means if someone is trying to access this EC2 instance, if someone wants to take the remote of this EC2 instance, then how they can take it. So that's called inbound traffic. If you will allow this option, then you can see there is an option of anywhere. What is anywhere? Anywhere means anyone can take the remote of this EC2 instance. That's the reason the network ID is 0000/0. 0 means anyone, default. If I want to take the remote of this EC2, I can. If someone else wants to take the remote of this EC2, they can also take it. If I want that only a specific person, only a specific device can take the remote of my EC2 instance, then there is an option of custom. This is security group options. I will select custom, then I will have to enter the IP range or the IP address. Suppose I want that only my laptop IP can access the EC2 instance, rest will be denied. Then you can enter my public IP address here and only my laptop will have the access to the EC2. Rest will not be allowed. If you want that a particular network range, suppose 10.0.0.0.1 to 10.0.0.0.100, they should have the access of EC2 instance, rest will be denied, then you can enter the network range as well. So we will discuss this part during the networking again. But for now, if you want to allow everyone, it will be anywhere. If you want to allow a specific IP address, it will be this. And for my IP, like if you want that only my system can access the EC2 instance, then you can select this option. So this is my public IP, this one. This one is my public IP of the internet. In case you want to see, so I will go to what is my IP on the Google. Then I will go to this site, what is my IP. And from here, you can check this is my public IP 122.180.183.245. So the same IP is showing here. So I am using this IP in order to connect with the internet. So this is Airtel. This is the location. You can also check your public IP through this method. Just go to Google and simply type what is my IP. Whatever link is coming, just check it and you would be able to check your public IP. So for this IP, I am paying to the Airtel. My internet is using this public IP. Even in your mobile phone also, on your mobile, you are using the public IP for the internet connectivity. So you can go to browser and you can search for what is my IP. Then it will show you your public IP. Now, so I will select the default option anywhere. Anywhere means anyone can access this particular server through RDP. I will also see this option as well, but for now, anywhere. Then this one is again one of the security group options. We will see this one in the next session. What is this one? For now, let's keep it default. This one, there will be a storage topic. So I will discuss that part during that time. For now, this is going to create one of the hard disk. This is going to attach one of the hard disk with my EC2 and the size will be 30 GB. So that will be my root volume, means that will be my C drive. In case I want to create new partitions, I can, but there will be a separate topic of this in the next weekend. It is known as EVS volume, EVS. That's a broader topic. So that time I will discuss about this one. For now, this is the partition. This is the partition. This is the drive that will be attached with your EC2. Drive means this one, these drives. So these kind of drives will be attached to your EC2 and the root volume means C drive. So the C drive space is going to be 30 GB. In case you want to increase, you can. You want to decrease, you can also do that. If you want to add more drives, you can add it from here, but not now. We are not adding it right now. I will take this session, then I will tell you. So let's keep it default. In the advanced details, there is an option of purchasing. This is important. Now, what is this purchasing? In the AWS, what happens? You are using the EC2 services. Means you are using the virtual servers. You are running your workloads here and you are paying to the AWS. Whatever rents are coming for whatever hours, for whatever minutes, for whatever workload, for whatever location you are using it, you are paying to the AWS, to the Amazon. So the cost will be calculated basis on your usage, and basis on the usage you are paying to the AWS. Now, suppose you have a requirement. You are just suppose you are a student. You are a student and you are doing one of the college project. Suppose you are a software development student and you are doing a college project. For that purpose, what you have done during your project, you have created one of the software. You have developed one of the software. Now you want to test that. You have created one of the software with Java language. There is a Java program that you have done and you have created one of the application. Now you want to test that application. You want to test that software. So in order to test it, you will have to deploy it. Where you will deploy it? So you will deploy it on the EC2. If you are using the cloud environment, so you will deploy it on the EC2 environment, on the EC2 server. If you will deploy the workload on the EC2 and you want to do the testing for complete 30 days, or suppose for complete 60 days, you want to do the testing. Your EC2 will be running for 24 hours, 7 days, and for 60 days, like 24 hours into 60 days. It will not shut down. You need it for 2 months. It will be running 24 hours for 60 days without any shutdown. So that's your project. You want to check the software. You want to test the application. Now what you need one of the EC2 which can offer you the best prices. Because if you will create the EC2 here, you are just a student. You cannot afford the prices. Even your free trial account is not working. Your free trial account is expired. And in the free trial account, actually, the configuration is less because there will be some predefined configuration. Just like you can see here, if I will go to my EC2 instance type, then what you can see, this one is free tier eligible. For this, I am not paying any cost. But what is the configuration? The configuration is 1 GB RAM, 1 CPU only. If I will go to another, if suppose I want to use a different configuration, suppose I want to use a high-end configuration. High-end means I want to use 16 GB RAM, 8 CPU. Then here you can see it is not free tier eligible. For this, I will have to pay the dollars. I will have to pay these charges to the AWS. So I need a high configuration EC2. I cannot do my testing on 1 GB of RAM and 1 core of CPU. I need a high-end EC2 instance. I need 32 GB of RAM. I need 16 cores of processor. But that is not available in the free category. See, in the free category, that kind of service is not available because free is only given to the person who are just a basic student and they want to learn the AWS. If you want to run the workload, then you will have to pay to the AWS depending upon the type of the machine. So here the college student wants to test. He wants to test the software for 60 days and he will be running it for 24 hours. And he needs a machine, he needs a EC2. The configuration will be 32 GB of RAM and he needs 16 cores of CPU. Along with that, he needs 500 gigabyte of hard disk. This is the configuration that he needs, this student needs in order to perform the testing. So that is not possible in the free tier configuration. You will have to take the paid one. Now for the paid one, this student cannot afford the charges because there are charges and this student cannot afford very high charges, but he wants to do the project. So obviously he wants to do the project, but he does not have that much money that he can afford the EC2 for this configuration. So there is a possibility, there is a purchasing option possibility where we can have one of the reserve instance. Just like here, you can see there is an option of sport instances. What is the sport instance? Sport instance means the EC2, the ready-made machines, the ready-made servers, which is not in use. Suppose with the AWS, they have suppose 50 servers, they have 50 hardwares, which is not in use. No company is using that. It's free. They have a big data center, as I told you. They have a very big data center, but it is not something that everyone is using their services. Maybe some of the servers are free, some of the servers are idle. Nobody is using that. If that is free, as I told you, there is a cost of maintenance because in the backend, that is a hardware actually. So there is a cost of maintenance. There is an electricity cost. You cannot shut down the real hardware servers. Otherwise, that will be out of order. Then you will have to manage their updation part. You will have to manage their upgradation part. So ultimately, there is a cost to the AWS, and these servers are free. Nobody has taken the rent of these servers. So what happens if any of the servers, any of the hardwares are free on the AWS side? So they will launch one of the option that is called sport instance. So time to time, they launch the sport instance option to their customers. What is sport instance? So sport instance means that they have some capacity, they have some servers available, and they will offer you those servers on the discounted price. Means the actual prices will not be charged from you. Just like here you can see in the tier, in the instance tier type, you can see there are some charges. If you will use the Red Hat Linux, then for per hour you will have to pay these charges to the Amazon. If you will use a high-end configuration machine, just like if you are using this one, suppose you are using 16 GB of RAM, 4 cores of CPU, then you will have to pay to the Amazon this amount of charges. So this is for Linux. For Linux, the charges are less. For Windows, the charges are high. So this is for per hour charges, but you cannot afford these kind of charges for 2 months. So in such condition, what AWS will do, time to time, whatever hardware they have, which is in idle state, which is not in use, they will launch their sport instances. Sport means just like boli lagana, speculation. You can say sattebaji. So time to time, they are going to release these instances, these hardwares on discount to their customers. They will say that on regular basis, suppose I am charging $1 for this configuration of server. For the sport instance, I will charge you suppose $0.50. I will not charge you full dollar. I will charge you $0.50 for the sport instance. So this way, the customers can save their cost. So the student who wants to perform the testing for their college project, they can take the sport instances. Even for the company as well, the company who wants to do the testing of anything, if the company wants to perform any testing of the server for 2 months, they need the servers for 2 months only, for 3 months only. After that, they will not need it. So they can also go with the sport instance option. In the sport instance, the AWS is going to offer the discounted prices to their customers, to their users. But there is a limitation. There is a demerit of sport instance. Suppose right now, AWS have 50 servers, which is free, which is not in use. That's the reason they have offered you the discounted price, that come and use my 50 servers on the discounted rate. I will give you sport instance. On the spot, I will give you discount. But in future, if any other customer is requesting for the server, if any new customer comes, just like I am the new customer, I comes and I want to create one of the EC2 instance on the AWS portal. I need a high configuration server. And that time, if AWS does not have free hardware, because they have already exhausted their hardware for the discount. So if they don't have the free hardware available that time, if they don't have the EC2 instance available that time, they will take it back from the discounted customers anytime, without any notice, without any further confirmation. If they need their servers back, because other customer is requesting for that and he is ready to pay the full charges. I am the customer, I need a high-end configuration of instance and I am ready to pay all these full charges. So I am paying the full charges, customers are using it on the discounted rate. So anytime AWS can take it back without any notice, and it will be offered to another customer who is ready to pay the full charges. So this is the limitation of sport. So that's the reason it is not used in the production server scenario. It will only be used during the testing. If in the company someone wants to perform any testing, so during the testing phase, if we need the server for 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, or 1 month, then we can go ahead with the sport instance feature. We can avail the discount and we can use the services. And if AWS take it back, if any other customer is demanding it and they are ready to pay the full charges, if AWS take it back, so it is not going to impact my production because I am only using it for testing purpose. During the testing, if AWS take back my server, so it is not going to impact my real scenario. My testing will be impacted. I will again create the servers, but my company business will not be impacted. So it is not recommended to use the spot instance feature in the real scenario. You can only use that during the testing phase when you need the discounted rates. So this is saying, this option means, do you want to purchase the spot instance? Do you need the virtual machines? Do you need the EC2 on the discounted price? If you need it, enable it. Here you can see spot instance at the spot price. Spot price means on the spot price. That will be discounted. So if you will enable it, your EC2 will be created under the spot instance. But anytime if AWS needs it back, it will take it from you. In the customize, you can see what price you can set. You can give your configuration, like what is your maximum price limit. If you will select this option, no maximum price, then you will get all the servers which is available as a discounted rate. Whatever is available, AWS is going to offer you. Suppose they have a very high configuration server available in the discounted price. You have selected this option. So AWS is going to allocate you the spot EC2 instance because you have not selected any price range. So whatever discount options will be available, it will offer you. But if you will specify your pricing requirement, if you will say that per hour, I can only pay $1. I can only pay $1 for per hour, means I can pay 80 rupees per hour. This is my budget. Then AWS will offer you the spot, the discounted EC2s as per your budget. If you will give any budget criteria here. Then what is the request type? So one time means you need the server for a single use only, for right now only. After that, it will not be in used. So accordingly, the discounted will be offered to you. If you will select the persistence option, persistent means you need it on continuous basis. Maybe you need it on, maybe you need it for 15 days. Maybe you need it for 20 days, 30 months, 30 days, 60 days, 1 year. So in such condition, you will select the persistent option. In the persistent, you can see there is a validity. If you will select no request expiry date, it means you have not decided the end date yet. You can use it for a longer duration. But anytime they need it back, they will take it back from you. If you will select a expiry date that you only need the persistent server, you only need the spot instance for 2 months, then you will select the expiry date. Accordingly, they will offer you, AWS will offer you the discounted price. So the discount will be offered to you basis on the duration you select, basis on the type you select. If you need it for one time, you will get less discount. If you need it for persistent, persistence means you need it for a longer duration, they will offer you best discount. Interruption means any time if AWS wants to take it back, if AWS needs the server, they are not in a condition to fulfill other customers. So if they will take it back, then what will happen? What will happen to your EC2? So these are some options. I will discuss that later on: hibernate, stop, and terminate. So what is going to be the behavior if AWS take back their server, then what will happen to the servers? What will happen to the current EC2 machines? So these behavior you will have to select. What you will select, I will discuss. I will discuss what is the difference among hibernate, stop, and terminate. For now, just understood that if they will take back your server, then what will happen to your EC2? For now, terminate means whether it will be deleted, on the spot if they will take it back, or it will be shut down. If it will be shut down, then in future, they can again offer you the discounted price for the same EC2. If it will be terminated, then it will be deleted. Then you will have to again recreate the servers in future. Hibernate means it will be in sleep condition. Sleep condition in the sense, if you are running anything on the server, that will be there. The RAM memory will be there. It will not be lost. Data will not be lost, but it will be under the sleep mode. That's called hibernation. So in case you want to select the behavior, when the AWS take back their servers, then what will happen to your sport servers, sport instance? Then you can select one of the behavior and AWS is going to behave accordingly. So this one is the sport option. Then you can select basis on your requirement, and we don't need it. This is required for the testing, so I don't need this one. So I will unselect this. By default, it is unselected. In case you need it, you can check and you can select the requirement. I don't need it, so I will not go with that. Domain join directory. This one I will discuss in future. What is this domain joining option? IAM instance profile. I will discuss this one in future, how to create this one. This is the repository actually for the images, so I will discuss in future. Then these are the DNS option. By default, AWS have their DNS options. So it is going to configure the records accordingly. What are these records? I will discuss during the DNS session. Once I will take your DNS class, then I will discuss this one. In case your instance, your EC2 gets deleted, then what are the recovery options you have? If you will select the default, then in the default option, you can recover your EC2 instance back within 30 days. It will go to the recycle bin after the deletion. If you delete any EC2 instance and you want to recover it back, so within 30 days, you can recover it back. If you will disable this option, if you delete any EC2 instance, it will not be recovered back. So you need to select the option. If you will not select it, then by default, the default option will be selected. Means it will be selected like this. And if it is showing select, it means the default behavior is in force. If you want to disable, you can. For this also, you are paying the charges to the AWS. Because if you delete your EC2 instance, that will go to the recycle bin of AWS. And if the data is under the recycle bin, somehow it is consuming the storage. If I have deleted something and if it is there in the recycle bin, if any data is under the recycle bin, it means it is consuming my storage. So if anything is under the recovery mode, it means that is consuming the storage on the AWS end, and you will have to pay to the AWS accordingly. So in case you want to save the cost again, you can disable this option. But we are using the free tier account, so we don't require this one. We will keep it default. We can do the recovery as well if it is needed, because there are not very much charges. We are using the free tier account, so we have this option for free. Then shutdown behavior. What is the shutdown behavior now? If you click here, you can see two options, stop and terminate. Now, what is this? So let's discuss. What is shutdown behavior? Shutdown behavior means if I will shut down my EC2 instance, if I shut down my server, then what will happen? So there are two options. The first one is stop and the second one is terminate. Stop means if I will shut down my server, then it will be stop. Stop means it will be shut down. If I select the stop, it means if I will shut down my server, it will be stop. Stop means shut down. It will be shut down. I can turn it on again. If you have stopped any EC2 instance, that will be deallocated. Now, what is this deallocated? If you stop any instance, if you stop any EC2 server, what happens in the backend? In the backend of the AWS, there is a big rack. There is a big rack in the backend. In that rack, there are multiple hardware servers They have multiple hardware racks, means hardware servers. Here the virtualization is enabled, and through the virtualization, AWS is offering you the server facility, the EC2 facility. So there is a big rack. There will be multiple clusters of rack in the AWS data center. Now, if you decide to stop any EC2 instance, if any server is getting stopped, stop means for you, for the normal people, it looks like shutdown. We will stop anything, it will be shut down. But in the backend, what will happen if you will shut down any EC2 instance? What is happening actually? In the rack, there is a server. There is a hardware server. There is a physical machine. On that physical machine, you have installed the operating system. If you are using Windows Server 2022, you have installed the operating system in the backend of this hardware. If you are using the Linux, you have installed the Linux on this particular hardware, the physical server of AWS. If you are not using any server, if you are not using any EC2 instance, if you will stop it, stop means your machine will be shut down. And after shutdown, your operating system will be detached from the physical machine. It will be disconnected from the physical machine. If you will turn it on, your operating system is installed on the physical machine. So it is consuming the RAM here. It is consuming the CPU here on this physical machine, and it is consuming the hard disk here. But if you shut down the EC2 machine in the AWS, then it will be shut down, plus it will be detached. It will be deallocated from the hardware, from the physical machine. It means your RAM will not be used, your hard disk will not be used, and your CPU will not be used. So if nothing is in use, no resources are being used, it means there will not be any charges. Amazon is not going to charge you anything for this stop server. So if you know that every day there are some server in your company, suppose there are 8 servers in your company that is not used after 11 p.m. at night. After every night 11 p.m., there are 8 servers, there are 8 EC2 instance which is not used. And we don't need to keep it on. So what we can do, we can shut them down, we can stop them. Once we will stop them, it will be detached from the real physical machine. And once it is detached, we will not be charged for the EC2 instances. AWS will not charge us then. Next day, we start our work from suppose 9 a.m. in the morning. We need these 8 servers back. Then we can turn them on. Once we will turn them on, then we will have to pay the charges accordingly. Whatever hours we will use it, we will have to pay the charges to the Amazon accordingly. So if you want to save your cost, if your servers are not getting used 24/7, if that is being used for a specific duration, then you can deallocate, you can stop the servers. Once you will stop it, it will be detached from the physical machine and you can save your cost. That's the reason the stop option has been given to you. But there are some server which will not be stopped, that will be running 24/7. But there are some server which you can stop in the company if it is not in use, and you can save your cost. Next day, you can restart them back as per their timing. Then the cost will be started. If you will stop anything, the data will not be lost. The next option is terminate. Terminate means you can select the shutdown behavior as terminate. If you will select this option, then if someone will shut down the EC2 instance, then it will be deleted automatically. Terminate means it will be deleted. Along with the data, the complete EC2 instance will get deleted. So if you don't need the server, suppose you have decided that now my work is over, this server is not required. I was using it for the testing purpose only. Now I don't need this server. So what you can do, you can select the terminate behavior. Once you will shut down the server, it will automatically delete it. So according to your requirement, you can select the option. In the real scenario, mostly they will be using the stop option. If they shut down any server, it means they are not using that at that particular moment. If they will shut it down, then it will be stop. It will be deattach. And company can save the cost through this way. But in the on-premises scenario, if we are not using any server, we will have to keep them on. We cannot turn them off. So we will have to pay the electricity charges. We will have to pay the maintenance charges. We will have to pay the AC maintenance charges as well. But in the cloud, there is a flexibility. If you are not using any server for a particular duration, you can stop them. You can deattach them. So I will select the stop option. I will also show you the terminate one, but for now, stop. Then again, the behavior. If someone is stopping my server, then what is going to be the hibernate behavior? So I will discuss this one later on. It means, like, suppose my server is stopped, and if I turn it back with the hibernate option, so do you want to enable it or disable? Means if my server is stopped, then if I turn it back, then after some period, if you want to make it on sleep mode, then you can enable the option. Otherwise, you can keep it disabled. So by default, it is disabled. Disable means it will be like this. So this option is not used in the company. Nobody wants to sleep their servers. That's the reason this option will not be used in the real production. Termination protection. Termination protection means, just like yesterday we have seen, after the practical, we deleted the EC2. We directly went to the action, we click on the delete and it got deleted. But in the real scenario, due to any mistake, if any engineer deletes the EC2 instance, then it is going to impact the production. So what you want to protect the termination. You want to protect the deletion of the servers. So you can enable it. Once you will enable it, during the deletion, it will not directly give you the option to delete. You will have to confirm few things during the deletion. So I will show you this one as well. Even you can also do this practical. During your practical, you can enable this option and you can try to delete the server. Then you would be able to see whether it is getting deleted or not. So I will show you this one as well. By default, it is disabled. Stop protection means if someone mistakenly clicks on the stop, on the shutdown, then is it going to be shut down or not? Because sometimes due to mistake, we will click on the shutdown option and my server will be stopped. So it can impact my real production. So in such scenario, you can enable it so that if someone clicks on the stop option, it will not be stopped by default. It will ask you, it will give you the option. So by default, it is disabled. CloudWatch, I will discuss during the monitoring part. There is a separate session of the monitoring where we will see the CloudWatch practical. This is used for the server monitoring. Elastic GPU. Elastic GPU means GPU is a type of processor, graphical processing unit. The company which is into the gaming business, they need a high quality of graphics. If I am developing any gaming software, then I need high quality of the graphics. So in such condition, if you are using that kind of workload, you can select the tier accordingly. These EG series of the instance is for the GPU, graphical processing unit. So EG medium, EG large, EG extra large, and EG extra large. So the company which is in the business of graphics, the gaming software development, they will go with the elastic GPU option. For now, we are not in the business of the graphics, so we will not select this one. In case the company is, then they will select the instance type accordingly. So you can see the difference among this instance type in the link that I shared yesterday. This one is related to your GPU. So we have not selected any GPU option, so we don't need to discuss this one. Credit specification. Credit specification means for what duration you want to use this one. Unlimited. This is just a logs. Actually, this is just one of the logs. AWS is going to keep the logs that for what duration you want to use these servers. This is just a kind of feedback. If you will select unlimited, they will assume that you will use this server for a longer duration. If you will select the standard, they will assume that you will use it for 1 year or 2 years only. So this one is not used actually. This is just a recommendation. Placement group I will discuss in the next session once I will discuss the failover part. Capacity reservation, as we discussed, it is for the spot instances. So there will be again session for this one. Tenancy. So this one will be discussed during the storage part. RAM and everything. Again, there will be a separate session. Nitro. Nitro is a type of processor which is used in high data processing. It is a new processor in the market, and it is used for the Nitro workload, just like for robotics, for artificial intelligence, machine learning workload. If you need high density CPU, then you can go with the Nitro supports as well. It is by default not coming up. Why? Because we are using the free tier account. In the free tier account, there is no support of Nitro. So for the paid, for the high configuration instances, this option will be enabled. For the Nitro, we need to take the licenses from the AWS. We need to purchase this configuration. We will have to pay extra charges. That's the reason it is asking for the license. And currently I don't have any license. That's the reason it is not showing up. Metadata, there will be practical for this. What is this metadata? I will discuss during that time period. Then there is an option of user data. This one also have one of the practical. This is called bootstrapping. Bootstrapping in the sense, there is an option of bootstrapping. What is bootstrapping? So bootstrapping means when you create the EC2 instance, along with the EC2 creation, you want that some of the software should be automatically installed along with the EC2. Suppose you want that during the installation of EC2, during the creation of EC2, MS Office should be installed automatically. You don't want to install MS Office after the installation. So if you want to automate something, if you want to predefine some task, then you can use the bootstrapping option in the AWS. And in order to use the bootstrapping option, AWS have one of the name which is called EC2 user data. You can define your configuration, whatever is your requirement, with the EC2 user data, and it will install each and every application that you have defined along with the creation of EC2. So that is called bootstrapping. So here you can enter the automation script and it is going to install the necessary application, the necessary servers, whatever you need. You just need to pass the script here. So if you have the script, you can pass it. I will show you one of the practical of this one, how you can enable the bootstrapping, how you can automate the things. So I will show you. So configuration part is done. Now on the right side, you can see we want to create two instances. Means I want to create two servers with the same configuration that I have selected here. My image will be 2022. My instance type will be T2 micro. I am using new security group option. I will have 32 GB of C drive, the root drive. Now click on launch instance. Once I will click on the launch instance, you can see two instances have been launched. The first ID is this one, comma. The second ID is this one. If I will go to my EC2 again, in the instances, you can see I have two servers now. The name are same because we have given the same name prod01. So name are same. You can change this name. You can go to the edit and you can change the name. Suppose I want to change it as prod02. So save. Now the name has been changed. So I have two servers with the same configuration. So you can define whatever configuration of servers you want to create. And here there is an option of public IP. So you can see the public IPs are different. See, because you cannot use the same public IP on multiple servers. So public IP will be different and you will be paying to the AWS for the public IP. For public IP, there is a charges that you are paying to the AWS. Now let's launch one of the server. Suppose I want to launch this one. So I will select it. Then I will click on connect. Then I will go to RDP client. I will download the file just like we did yesterday. Open it. Connect. Then it will ask me the password of this server. So what is my password? So I will have to decrypt that as per the procedure. So I will click on get password. My username is administrator. My password is get password. It is asking me to upload the H1 key pair file. So I will upload. This one is H1. Open. This is my encrypted password. I will click on the decrypt password now. Once I will click on the decrypt password, then this is the password that I can use. So I will copy this password. Then I will enter it here and click on OK. Now my server is accessible. I can do whatever I want to do on this server. I can create the workload. I can run the servers according to my company requirement. The server is coming up. Now you can see it has been loaded. Because we have just given 1 GB of RAM. That's the reason it is taking some time to get load, because 1 GB RAM for the server is not good. For Linux, it is good. For Windows, 1 GB RAM is nothing. That's the reason it is taking some minutes in order to get load. So let's wait for that. Meanwhile, as I told you, if we are using the public IP on any of the EC2 instance, then we can access the server from any location. So you can also access the server. How you can do it? From your laptop or from your desktop, you can go to run. You can type mstsc. Okay. And in the computer, here you need to enter the public IP of the EC2 instance. So what is my public IP? So let me copy this password first. I am entering this password in the chat box. Now, what is my public IP? So my public IP is this one. This is my prod 01 and this is my public IP. So with this public IP, you can access the server. You just need to copy this public IP, enter it into this location. You will click on connect. Once you will click on connect, again click on connect, then go to more choices, go to use a different account. Here you will have to type the administrator. Then in the password, you can enter the password that we have created. Once you will enter this password, then you will be able to access this server from your home as well, because there is a public IP attached here. So you can access it from any location of this world if you have the internet connectivity. It's not only me. I can access it from any location. Even you can access it if you have the administrator and the password of this EC2 instance. That is the disadvantage of public IP. Anyone can access it. It is exposed to the public network. Now the server has been accessed. This is the server that I have created. Here we can create the workload as per our requirement. And here you can see the size is T2 micro. The total RAM is 104 MB, which is 1 GB. And this is the host name. The host name is this one, EC2 AMZ. You can change this one as well. You can go to properties, this PC property. It is slow because of 1 GB RAM. And you can change this one. You know very well how to change this. You can rename this PC and you can change the name accordingly. See, the same thing that you used to do on the Windows, because this is Windows server. Now I am minimizing it. I am on my AWS portal. I am on my prod 01 EC2. If I select this and if I go to the action, in action, you can see different options. We will see this networking, security, image template, monitor, troubleshoot, every option we will see in the further classes. Connect, you know very well, connect, this one is same. You can connect from here as well. In case you want to check the details of the server, you can click here and you can check all the details. So same thing you can check from here as well. You can just select it, and in the overview, you can select all the details. So same thing is showing here as well. This one I will tell you in the later sessions. In the instance state, if I click here, you can see there is one option of stop. If I will stop, if I will click on the stop, do you want to stop it? Yes, stop. Stop means shut down. It is shutting down and it will be detached from the hardware. Now AWS will not charge me any price if I will keep it shut down. Here you can see session is ended because shut down. So my connectivity is broken now. But there will be one charge. AWS is not going to charge you for the EC2, but it will charge you for the hard disk. If you have saved something, if you have stored anything in this server, then it is getting saved inside the hard disk. In the backend, it is getting saved in the hard disk. So if you have any data which is stored in the server, if you will stop it, they will not charge you for the server, but they will charge you for the hard disk because you are using their hard disk to store their data. So there will be one charge only, that is for the hard disk, and there will be one more charge which is for the public IP, because public IP is not in use, but for public IP there is a recurring charges that you will have to pay to the AWS. So public IP charges will be there, storage charges will be there, but EC2 charges will not be there if you will shut it down. So right now it is shut down, it is deallocated. In future, if you want to return it back, then what you can do, you can just go to the instance, you can come here, you can select your VM, you can select your EC2, you can go to the instance and you can click on start. So just click on start and it will restart back. See, successfully started and it is in the restart phase right now. So let's refresh. So within few minutes, it will show you the running state. And once it is in running state, then you would be able to access it back. It will be started again. So that is the option of stop. Currently, you can see these options are not coming up because it is in the process. Now it is restarted. It is showing running. If I will click, if I will refresh it, then within few minutes, this option will be highlighted. And this one will also be highlighted. So let's select. And now you can see the options are coming. Reboot instance means you can restart the server. If you want to restart, you can. Terminate means, you know, as I told you yesterday, terminate means you can delete this. If you don't need it, you can delete this. Hibernate option is not coming because hibernation we have to enable. During the creation of the server, we will have to enable the hibernation. So I will tell you how to do this. We did not do the practical of this one right now. So if I click on the terminate part, then this VM, this server will be deleted. It is terminated. It is in the shutting down phase. First, it will shut down, then it will be deleted. So it will take some minutes. After that, it will be terminated automatically. Now I cannot access this server because it is terminated. This one is in the running condition. I can access this one, but this one cannot be accessible because this has been terminated now. So if let me refresh, and now you can see the status is what? It is terminated. If I click here, if I go to this particular server, now you can see the status is terminated. and there is no IP. See, gradually the IP will be released from here. The public IP is there, but private IP has been released because the server is not available. It is not working. So public IP will be there, but private IP is released. After few minutes, the public IP will also be released from here because it will be completely deleted from the portal. So once it will be deleted from the portal, then your public IP will also be released. Just like here, you can see now the public IP has been released. So within few minutes, everything will be deleted from here. So gradually it has deleted the private IP. It will now delete the public IP. Public IP has also been deleted now. And after few minutes, this server will be removed from this portal. That's called termination, the deletion activity. Any question, any doubt regarding this?
No, sir. Next one.
So let me terminate this one as well. Let me click on this first. Let me see if something is there for you. IAM role, I have already told you. Networking part I have to discuss. I have not discussed this one. Storage again I will have to discuss. Status check I told you yesterday. Monitoring part I will discuss in a separate session. There will be a monitoring session in the end of the AWS. Tag I had told you in the beginning. So availability zone option, it's very important. Failover clustering option. Next weekend I will discuss this one. The availability zone, the networking, the drives, the extra drives, the snapshot, the EMI, the metadata creation. So all these practicals I will discuss. VM, the EC2 part is completed. This was the EC2, how you can create the servers, how you can launch it, how you can check the different behaviors. But we will use the EC2 in future a lot. Whatever practical we will do, EC2 is the base. Because without server, you cannot perform the practical. If you want to do the networking, you need the servers. If you want to create the storage accounts, you need the server. If you want to enable the monitoring, you need the server. If you want to do the backup, you need the servers. So server is the base in the AWS. The EC2 is the base. So rest of the options will be discussed when the right time will come. Just like in the next weekend, the networking part will be discussed. What is this VPC? What is the subnet? What is the IP? How we can assign the public IP to a host? How we can change it? How we can detach it? So these kind of things will be discussed. How we can create the network and we can add multiple servers in that network. So that will be discussed in the next weekend. Plus rest of the options which is pending, just like hibernation. We will create the hibernation section as well. Then I will discuss the availability part, this availability zone part. So just do the practice, just do the practice and check and explore all the options of the EC2 so that you will not feel, you can say you will not feel strange when I will start a new topic of networking. Because all the topics are now interrelated to the EC2. So in most of the practical, EC2 will be used. That's the reason. Just do your hands-on with the EC2. If you will have any doubt, you can discuss with me. Use all these options. Whatever you can, just do it because it is not going to impact anything. After the practical, terminate. Once the practical is done, select the resource, go to action, go to instant state and terminate. Terminate means delete. Otherwise, there will be charges. So terminate. Once it is showing terminated here, then you can ensure that it is deleted. Just like this one is deleted now. After few minutes, it will be removed from here. So make sure you terminate the resources after the practical. We will connect further in the next session, in the next Saturday.
Sir,
Then I will start the networking part.
sir,
Yes.
shall I share my screen?
Yes, you can. Any question?
No, sir. That 17th video is not downloading.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can.
मेरा भी सेम डाउट है सर 17 नंबर वीडियो नहीं दिख रहा.
You can share the screen. Let me give you the permission. Now you can.
Okay, sir.
I am stopping the recording. It is not required now. So